You 9/11. It's just your voice.
Oh.
He said you could do his whole body.
9/11, I was working for the Old Orchard Beach Police Department, and I was dispatching that morning, and then I went home to make breakfast and saw everything on the news when it was happening.
What do you most remember from it?
I just remember, I remember the whole day vividly. I was working midnight to 8. They had an incident at the high school, and then I remember getting off of work and needing to go get eggs, and I went down to the grocery store, and the lady goes, "Oh my goodness, did you hear they just, a missile just hit the World Trade Center?" And I'm like, "What?" And I went up to my house and started watching it on the news, and we were just standing there in disbelief that it was happening.
Thank you.
All right.
Where were you 9/11?
I was teaching math at Massabesic High School.
What do you remember from it?
I remember hearing it from a good friend of mine that I taught with at the time, and then going to the library and watching it unfold on the news.
All right, thank you. Where were you 9/11?
On 9/11, I was teaching a class of students that were younger students at the middle school in Massachusetts, and I found out about the plane going into the tower by another coworker who came into my classroom, and he was very, very distraught. And he was almost distraught to the point where he could barely speak, and I had to help him actually get the words out. And then I went next door into another classroom that didn't have any students, and we brought the images of what was going on the news up online on the computer, and we were watching the towers burn. So
What do you mostly remember from it?
I remember looking at the towers burning and feeling horrified because I realized at first glance that there were a lot of people that had to have died from the impact of what they were saying was a plane going through there. I knew that it couldn't have been a small plane, even though the news was saying we don't know what kind of a plane. I knew from the size of the impact area that it had to have been a larger commercial jet. I realized that it was terrorism almost immediately. That was my first inclination, was that this is terrorism. I knew that the towers had been targets before, so I guess that's part of the reason I knew it. I remember feeling just sick to my stomach that there was a lot of people that were going to be dead, and me and my colleagues just kept saying, oh my God," over and over again. And I remember telling them, "This is terrorism," and they said, "How do you know that? How do you know that?" And then all of a sudden, a second plane came into the screen and crashed into the South Tower. And I remember they were like screaming in horror, and I was just like, just nauseated, because I realized that I just watched probably a couple hundred people die right then and there in that fireball. And
Where were you 9/11?
On 9/11, I was at home, and I actually had gotten called from the school. They asked if I could come in and substitute teaching then. I saw stuff on the news, and then I came into the school to sub at elementary school that day, and kind of was listening to it on the news the rest of the day there. It was kind of unnerving, because I knew that my uncle lived in New York at the time, so I kind of wanted to try and get a hold of him. I was trying to call him all day, and finally got through, but it wasn't until the next day that I got through to talk to my uncle. So it was definitely a very scary situation while we were there.
What do you remember from it?
What do I remember the most? The most I remember, I remember all the news things that were going on, and I remember just trying to get a hold of my uncle at the time. And that was the most important thing, just calling family and trying to figure out what's going on.
Thank you. Now, how do I...
So it's Mr. Gallo.